Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League Matchday 8, final day in the group stages, also in the Europa League, with all the games at the same time. As always in these competitions, we've chosen the best 8 games to analyze, in this case with Alain Valnegri, with 𝗀𝗲𝗀. Hello guys, so I hope you are ready to go around Europe in the best stadiums and check the best tips, thanks to our 2 top tipsters. So guys, stay with us, of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And the first stop is in Amsterdam. Ajax, Galatasaray, 2 giants usually play in the Champions League. This season in the Europa League, Ajax will play in the playoffs in that pre-round before the last 32, because they lost to Riga, so there is no option to qualify for a top 8. It's 3 consecutive defeats in the Europa League. Lazio and Real Sociedad, as well as Riga's Galatasaray, top in Turkey, but in Europe drew with 𝗛𝗲𝗏𝗀 Kiev, despite leading 3-1. So, Alain, they must win here to have an option to qualify for the top 8. It's going to be very difficult for Galatasaray, though.
Yes, but Galatasaray in Europe this season, they don't won any game away in Europe and in the playoff against Young Boys. 3 draw and a defeat in Switzerland. Galatasaray in January is a bad month, probably the worst month from the beginning of the season for Galatasaray, because a lot of draw permit to Fenerbahce to come back in the fighting for win the Turkish Super League. The last game against Konyaspor, they don't deserve to win this game. Their draw against Hatayspor is fighting against relegation. Bad draw against Başakşehir in Turkish Cup is not a good moment. In change, Ajax at home normally don't fail. It's true against Lazio, they lose that game, but except that game from the beginning of the season, Ajax don't lose any game. They lose against Panathinaikos, but it was in the penalty. And I think right now, Ajax have something more than Galatasaray when we consider the moment of form and especially when Galatasaray is travel. For that reason, I choose 𝐿𝐴 odds 1.91.
Tricky one, Leo, because probably there is more on stake for Galatasaray. As I said, with 13 points, with a win, it's almost for sure they will qualify for the top 8.
Yes, and to be honest, because there is more at stake for Galatasaray, because Ajax at home is a different matter, despite the embarrassing defeat they suffered in Latvia. They can't hide from that against a team that haven't won yet before facing Ajax, and also in the week when all the 4 Dutch teams have won in Europe before Ajax played. It was quite embarrassing for them. I think there was a degree of overconfidence maybe as well, with the Bergwijs and 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀 coming off from the bench in the second half. Everything is quite tight between Ajax and the teams right outside the playoff, but they have a very healthy advantage, a goal difference of +7, Ajax, and that goal difference especially has been made at home. And I was saying, because Galatasaray has more things at stake, I believe, and because they're the team that has scored the most so far in this league stage, 18 goals. They concede a lot too as well, Galatasaray. 14 goals so far. They're still undefeated, yes, in this competition, and actually in the season, because it's 20 wins and 3 draws in the Turkish league, but 3 wins and 4 draws in this Europa League, and 3 of those 4 draws have happened away for Galatasaray. I won't go as Alain, my route won't be 𝑋1 or 𝑋2. I'm going to go the goal markets, and so it's a combined one. Edu, Alain, my take is both teams to score yes, and goals over 2.5. Those two combined has odds of 2.1.
Another great game at the Olympico is Roma-Eintracht Frankfurt, because Roma are still not qualified for the playoffs, even with only 9 points. They lost again away in the last game against 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, so they need to win to be sure they are gonna be in the next round of the Europa League. And Eintracht Frankfurt, they have a lot of odds and options. It's almost for sure they are gonna be in the top 8. So again, Leo, much more on stake for Roma, and also we know how strong Roma are at the Olympico.
Yes, absolutely, and they are coming, and we need to see how much Ranieri was thinking about this game with Eintracht, because on the weekend, yes, they won away in Udine, 2-1 against Udinese, and a game they won from behind, but he didn't play 𝗛𝗵𝗏, he didn't play 𝗀𝐶𝐿𝐴, he didn't play 𝗂𝗏𝗡𝑆ky, he didn't play Leandro Paredes, so I believe his mind was already on this encounter after the defeat with the AZ Alkmaar last week on matchday 7, when we look at Roma's matches this season in Europe, we will see that 5 of their 7 games have been goals under 2.5. Athletic Bilbao, Dynamo de Kiev, Union Saint-Gilloise, Elfsborg, and the last one, AZ Alkmaar. Frankfurt doesn't need to take the initiative in this game, but Roma's approach in Europe is less expansive than in Serie A, I would say, but still they need to take some responsibility or initiative in this game. If they do that, that could play into the hands of Frankfurt as well, Edu, because on the weekend they drew 2-2 against Hoffenheim in a game that Hoffenheim had, like, I think 25 shots on goal. It was like wave after wave of attack against Frankfurt, but what happened? They left a lot of paces in behind, and Frankfurt can run, and it's very good at that one to play at the counter-attack. Life so far without Omar Marmoush is not too bad, because 𝗍𝐿𝐻𝐿 scored against Fenerbahce last week in the 2-0 win on matchday 7. He scored again on the weekend. He has 16 goals so far in all competitions, and with 4 months to play still of football this season, which basically are very good numbers for him. So my take here is Frankfurt first half double chance, 1.65.
A tough game for Roma, Alain, even if Roma are in the best moment of the season, and as I said, strong in Europe when they play at the Olympico, beat Braga, Dynamo Kiev, and drew with Athletic, and also in Serie A.
Yes, and in the last 8 games, Roma lose only 1 in Alkmaar against AZ. Now, for Roma, the recent history, the relationship between the Roma and Europe is pretty brilliant, because in the last 3 years, 1 title, 1 final, and 1 semi-final. And this team, this block, wanna go far in this competition. And playing in the Olympico against a team already qualified like Frankfurt, I think, in my opinion, Roma is really favorite. Now, like Leo said, Roma will be open, must to attack and concede space, and Frankfurt is a transition team. I am curious to understand how 𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍 can stay at the same level in terms of average of goal than Marmoush, because Marmoush put the level really high. And right now, I think that the collective of Frankfurt is like that, because it's a team came from 5-6 years playing in the same way, and when they go to signing new player, normally they have success. And now they're signing 𝗀𝗀. 𝗀𝗀 is a classical striker to attack the space. In Marseille, he is not running, and he's not playing well because it's a position attack, and that one he suffer a little. But when he can run, he can be a good signing for Frankfurt. For that reason, I wait goal for that game. Both teams to score, odds 1.73.
Next game in Bilbao, the stadium of the final, Athletic Victoria Plzen. Athletic almost qualified for the top 8 despite the heavy defeat against Besiktas. They are not in great form also in La Liga or in Copa del Rey, only one win in 2025, but we know how difficult it is getting points from this stadium, Alain, and they are able to win here.
Pilsen, warning. Pilsen is not the classical team can be make dream defense, but is difficult to manage. Pilsen. They have a really, really good defensive phase, a really good counter-attack, and a really direct play. Pilsen is really dangerous. I think Athletic will be suffered. Athletic is a bad moment for Athletic. January was terrible for Athletic, and in my opinion, Pilsen will be cash a good results, and we can try the bet value 𝐋𝐞𝐭'𝐬 odds 2.11.
Well, it would be a huge surprise, although, Leo, Pilsen already beat a Spanish team like Real Sociedad in this Europa League.
Yes, exactly. I agree. They're a good team. They cannot underestimate them. Athletic Bilbao, it was a harsh defeat for them against Besiktas last week, 4-1 in a game which was tied 1-1 at halftime. It was the first defeat anyway in the competition for them, 1 draw with Roma and then 5 wins before that defeat with Besiktas for Athletic Bilbao. So overall, what I'm trying to say is like they're a very consistent team. The last defeat was in November against Girona in La Liga. They are reliable, I would say, despite what happened with Besiktas. Actually, on the previous Matchday, on Matchday 6, they also traveled to Turkey and they won the game 2-0 against Fenerbahce. The one thing which looked a little bit odd for me with Athletic Bilbao, with Besiktas, that they were completely, like, physically outrun by the opposition in the second half. In 15 minutes in that half, everything fell for Athletic Bilbao. Then on the weekend, 0-0 with Leganés. I mean, there's no drama or there's no shame in drawing 0-0 with Leganés, who the previous weekend won against Atletico de Madrid, but they seem a little bit leggy, although they should have won that game because they have many chances to score against Leganés. Then you have this issue with the supporters or the ultras who are not singing. They are in some kind of strike and not allowing others to sing, which is a little bit bizarre and ridiculous. So it's going to be like a strange atmosphere, I would say. Athletic has won anyway 3 home wins, the three games at home this Europa League so far, and they haven't conceded a single goal. But Victoria Plzen, again, I agree with Alain, they're a good team. Playoff position and a win will take them to 15 points. If all the results go their way, they could even get a straight position or a straight spot in the last 16. But still, I don't see that happening, even though, and I would say, repeat again for the first time, they're a good team. And I like the odds on X1. I like the odds on Athletic Bilbao. This playing at home, knowing all the way that this is the season where the Europa League final is going to be played in San Mamés, trying to make things right in front of their fans, trying to see if their fans are going to be singing finally after what's happened in the last few weeks. Athletic Bilbao to win for me, 175, looks good.
And let's go to the north of Europe. Midtjylland Fenerbahce, key game to qualify for the playoffs. Fenerbahce with 9 points. If they lose, they risk going out. Midtjylland with 10 need at least a draw. Perhaps the draw is actually a good result for both teams. Fenerbahce, Leo, only beat Slavia Prague and Union Saint-Gilloise in this Europa League. On the other hand, Midtjylland, they have their league stopped, although they were able to beat 𝗀𝗲𝗏𝗀, even with not that rhythm of competition in the last week.
Yes, absolutely, and this has to be an interesting one. Plus the sideline show guarantee with Jose Mourinho. Both the Danish and the Turkish team occupy top 24 spots heading into this matchday 8. But none of them have guaranteed European football after whatever happens on Thursday. Midtjylland broke a 3-game losing streak with a 2-0 win with 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀. I never gonna pronounce so well that team.
Midtjylland or 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀.
And Fenerbahce drew 0-0 at home with Lyon to get to 9 points. The performance at home for most sides this league stage was 5 points out of 12, which is far from great, but it's true that they play Manchester United, Athletic Bilbao, and Lyon, which is never going to be easy, those three teams. The only match in which they were clear favorites, I would say, it was against Union Saint-Gilloise, and they took the 3 points, as you say. But the game is sorting out in a way that Mourinho really likes, Alain, because it's like the word against us. He recognized after the draw with Lyon that they are in trouble to qualify, but it's still in their hands, but it's very difficult for them because they are short of so many players. And it's true, Sofiane Amrabat is suspended, and then they have several other players injured, especially in defense. 4 defenders injured. They have also the goalkeeper injured, the very good goalkeeper, or at least the one I like, 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗍𝗍, the Croatian goalkeeper. So he said, maybe we're going to go only with 11 players. You know, when Mourinho starts playing these kind of mind games. So basically, if they don't get the result they want, we're going to see for sure Mourinho complaining here and there. But if they get the result they want in the situation, in the context of so many players injured, we're gonna see more for sure, like running the length of the pitch to celebrate. A draw, a defeat, and 1 win for Midtjylland at home, and that win was against Saint-Gilloise. So I think it's gonna be a tense game. Maybe cards market, corners market could be a good one for this one. I won't expect a goal feast in here, and my take is Midtjylland first half Asian handicap plus 0.25. First half Asian handicap plus 0.25, odds of 1.75. So if they win the half, you win. If they draw, you win half of your stake.
How is the atmosphere, Alain, in Istanbul around Mourinho and about the season of Fenerbahce?
Yes, but the goal is the Super League, is not Europe. Clearly, it's 9 years Fenerbahce don't win a league in Turkey, and that one for Fenerbahce, for his history, is something heavy. And right now, the question is the derby. The derby will be played at the end of February, and the goal is, the focus is on game. And Galatasaray is running bad. Galatasaray is losing point in Super League, and Fenerbahce fans wait for that derby. It's really important, this game, because if Fenerbahce lose this game, probably there will be go out. The percent is really high to go out, considering the team that have behind. Now, Midtjylland is a bad client. The sense of Midtjylland is co-leader with Copenhagen in Denmark. During 25 games that don't suffer a defeat in Europa League and in Danish League. They lose against Brøndby and after against Frankfurt at the end of 2024. But this team have talent, have clear idea. They won against Salzburg in a friendly game. It's a really offensive game with a lot of mobility, and they can move that defense of Fenerbahce, who has a lot of players out. Now Fenerbahce signing Skriniar and Diego Carlos, but they can't play in Europe. Mourinho will be cook there. He's a center defensive line, and in my opinion, Midtjylland will be lose this game. I choose 1x, odds 1.83.
All right, tricky one, and also very interesting in Romania, Steaua Bucharest, Man United in this case to qualify for the top 8. Right now, both are in this top 8, but Man United with a draw, the job will be done. Steaua, Alain, probably they need to win, and is one of the greatest surprises of this Europa League. They beat 𝗂𝗏𝗃 in the last game. For Man United is always a big question mark what kind of Man United we are going to see. At least they just won back-to-back games, which is something very unusual in their season against Fulham and Glasgow Rangers.
Yes, Man United is difficult to predict. We don't know the version of Man United. Normally we must go to the negative version, but in Fulham I think they do a really serious game, and it was not easy because in Fulham this season a lot of teams suffered in Premier League. Now Steaua with Anderlecht, in my opinion, is the biggest surprise about this Europa League. If Steaua and Anderlecht finish in the top 8, is a good news for the football, because two countries like Belgium and Romania can be put, in the case of Belgium, not this champion, in the top 8 in Europa League is a good news for the football and for the new format. Now is a game probably the most difficult can have Steaua in the sense of the pressure too, because in Bucharest there will be this game signs a lot of here. Stadium will be full, will be have a lot of ambient, and sometimes that type of ambient can be go against the production to the local team. I don't will be choose 1x2. I see Steaua scoring a goal, Manchester 2, both teams to score also 1.80.
Can you read this Man United, Leo, or also for you is absolutely impossible? They were quite lucky also to get the 3 points from an Argentinian in 𝗂𝗏𝗃 last weekend.
Yes, and to be honest, that's why I don't want to read too much in 2 consecutive wins for them, when we had as well what happened against Rangers. But what is this showing, especially in Europe, this side, this Manchester United, is like they could fight until the very end, because they scored the winning goal against Rangers in the 92nd minute of the game, after Rangers equalized in the 88th minute. But against Porto, Harry Maguire scored the free in the 91st minute of the game. Against Victoria Plzen, they won away with Højlund scoring in the 88th minute of the match this Europa League season. But slightly, and again, without trying to read too much in 2 consecutive wins, it seems that they are improving lately. And Lisandro, he has scored a beauty against Fulham. Yes, it's been deflected, his shot anyway, but he's resembling lately the player he was in his first season. Bruno and Diallo continue to give their best. Garnacho, since he's being put on display for anyone who wants to take him for a good fee, is playing better. Mainu on Sunday played his best minutes under Ruben Amorim, and this is a good test for them with the Steaua, who's just making it in the top 8. And I agree with Alain that this is good news when teams like this get straight places in the last 16. I'm actually starting to like this league stage in both the Champions League and the Europa League. At home, 2 wins and a 0-0 with Olympiacos for them. The 3-2 against Karabakh last week, it was good, and it was at the back of 3 games without conceding a goal prior to traveling to Baku. The odds on Manchester are 1.6, which is not bad, to be honest. But my take here is going to be Manchester United first half Asian handicap minus 0.5, takes the odds a little bit higher, 1.8. The first half win for United is a little bit higher, 2.2, but at least with this minus 0.5, if there is a draw, you will lose only half of your stake.
Okay, well, I see those odds like terrible, to be honest, Leo. 1.6 to trust this Man United. Not even at a 2.5, I think I would put my money on Man United. But still, again, they need the draw to qualify for the top 8. Perhaps even with a defeat, they can make it, but it's going to be very difficult. One of the key games of this Thursday is Maccabi Tel Aviv. Porto, because Porto, European champions, they are out of this Europa League at the moment. It's a similar situation of Man City in the Champions League. So it's a must win for them in Belgrade. This game is going to be played in Belgrade. Leo, if they want to qualify, only 8 points, struggling in Portugal in the Europa League. They couldn't even beat Santa Clara at the weekend, changing manager, losing to Olympiacos. By the way, we mentioned it in our previous Europa League video. So they are in a really tricky situation right now.
Yes, the only results is good for them is the 3 points, is to win. But if we follow Porto's pattern in this Europa League, it should be a draw, this one, because the run reads like this: defeat, draw, win, defeat, draw, win, defeat. So, which was the last one against Olympiacos. So basically this one should be a draw, but they cannot afford that. They're winless anyway in the last 5 games. In Primera Liga, they lost 2 of the last 3, and no, that they lost against Benfica or Sporting Lisbon. No. They lost against Nacional and Gil Vicente, which I think it paints the picture of how is this moment for Porto. They have a new manager, Martin Anselmi, for whom they pay the release clause to Cruz Azul in Mexico. Anselmi is the first Argentinian manager for Porto in the last 50 years. His first task will be to leave Porto in a playoff position, and for that, as I said, the only result for them is to win. For Maccabi, it's not just a win, but they will need like a 5-goal difference at least, and not even with that they will make it probably. So in fairness, only Ajax took them apart with that 5-0 win in Amsterdam, because then with Braga it was a 1-goal defeat. With Real Sociedad the same. With Bodo last week at halftime they were 1-1. So, but still, there is a footballing difference clear for me here between these two sides, even despite this very poor run lately for Porto, which at least they should have the new manager bounce effect on their behalf too. So my take here is Porto to win and goals. Porto to win and both teams to score yes, odds of 2.65.
Do you also trust Porto despite the bad moment playing against a poor team like Maccabi Tel Aviv?
Yes, to start well the new cycle with Anselmi, they must win. Porto can stay outside of the playoff of the Europa League. But I think that one of the reasons Porto suffered this season is the last summer that they changed the president, and after 40 years, Pinto leave, and Villas-Boas came to the president, the ex-manager, and Villas-Boas changed a little, or want to change the philosophy of the football, because Porto with 𝐿 was a really direct team. Now, the last summer, with the signing, we saw Porto want to be an associative team with Zubizarreta like sport director. When do you try to make that type of transition? It is difficult at the beginning, and we saw that. We saw that because a lot of players are really uncomfortable. I saw in the stadium Benfica Porto when they lose 4-0 in Lisbon in November, and I saw a team lose in the field without the spirit about the 𝐿 team. And 2 months after, we saw the results. Nothing changed. Now, Maccabi Tel Aviv is one of the weakest teams of this Europa League. They have one of the worst defense of this Europa League. And Porto don't do a very good Europa League, but they score a lot. With 12 goals, they score more or the same goals like Athletic Club, or more goals than Anderlecht or Steaua, who are in the top 8 in this Europa League. For that reason, I see goals in these games. I choose over 2.75 goals, odds 1.82.
All right, let's go to another giant in trouble, the Tottenham Elfsborg, in trouble in the Premier League, because in the Europa League they are doing well. They are in the top 8 right now with 14 points. Still, they need to beat Elfsborg to be sure they are going to finish in the top 8. Alain, this is another poltergeist. What is happening with Tottenham? Lost to Leicester City in the Premier League at the weekend, but in Europe and in the KO competitions doing well. Beat Hoffenheim in the last game. They are super favorites to beat Elfsborg, although with the current run of fixtures, it seems to me for sure not a safe bet back in Tottenham.
It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde this season, because in Cup, in Europa League is doing well, and in Carabao Cup, they won the first game against Liverpool. They must to travel to Anfield, but in FA Cup they're already qualified, but in Premier really bad. One of the facts probably is the list of injury player, because it is really long. But I don't know. I think Leo is better informed than me, but I think Postecoglou have some trouble. We know Tottenham, the fans are upset because they want nothing since 45, 50 years in England, like the championship in England, and that one, when the things start to go bad, it's difficult to revert the situation. Only Pochettino have success in the last 20 years in the bench with Tottenham. Elfsborg is difficult to imagine the level can be played Elfsborg, because the season stopped really soon in Sweden at the end of November, and after they start late, and during 2 months without competition, it's frequently to see the team without the rhythm, not the level, but with the rhythm. And Tottenham must to do a great game. They must to protect his place in the top 8. For that reason, I think Tottenham will start the game really aggressive, really offensive, and I see goal. I choose the market of goal over 3.25 goals, odds 1.75.
Okay, Leo, also Elfsborg, they need at least a point to be sure they are going to be in the playoffs. Even with the defeat, they can make it.
Yeah, but I don't see them getting that point they need, although maybe don't even need that. And even despite of this very delicate situation in Tottenham, Postecoglou is in a very delicate situation. If it wasn't for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 race in Germany last week, we could have been talking of a game this Thursday that could decide the future of Postecoglou, or maybe not, because I don't know what you think anymore with how the things are being run there. Tottenham will win on Thursday, will keep their place in the last 16 as they have now, but they are a draw, not even a defeat away from everything to start boiling over again. They lost 4 successive Premier League games, the longest winless run since 2008. The only team they have beaten in the last 11 fixtures in the Premier League has been Southampton. Everton were on a 6-game winless run, and they faced Tottenham and they won the game. Leicester were in an even worse situation, following 7 defeats in a row, and they were 1-0 down at halftime, and Spurs still give them the 3 points last weekend. And this is not just started now in the last 2 months, as most people trying to point out, just to save the face of Postecoglou or whoever they want to face, because this is a team that since November 2023, they took 64 points in 51 games. Aston Villa took 68 points only last season in 38 games. And so Tottenham took less points in almost 14 games more than Aston Villa, just to paint the picture. Then Postecoglou saying that Sarr shouldn't have played on Sunday because he was injured. So why he played him? Why didn't he play Gray in midfield and Reguilón at left back? So despite all the injuries he's facing, and it's true, that always needs to be taken into context, his decisions lately are difficult as well to comprehend. But they're a team that always score 14 goals in 7 matches. They have like Gray and Bergwall, 18 years old, who are doing massively great, impressively. But there was an image against Hoffenheim which stuck into my head. The game finished, and Bergwall and Gray, they both fell into the ground. Exhausted they were, because they are being asked too much. They are being played much more than everyone thought they will be playing up to this point in the season. But they have 𝗀𝐿𝐴 as well, who is performing amazingly. The talent is there in the squad. That is, no one can say differently. Bentancur is also a great midfielder. But yes, I can't see Elfsborg taking anything from here. They're going to push from the very beginning. I agree with Alain. We're going to see goals, as we always see in North London with this Tottenham. So my take here is goals over 3.5. Goals over 3.5, odds of 2.1.
All right, and we still have one more stop in this tour around Europe. Is in the Netherlands. Twente. Besiktas is the last game, key one for qualifying for the next round. Besiktas in the last spot right now with 9 points, and Twente with 7. Therefore, if Besiktas lose, Leo, they are out. If Twente win, they are in. And with a draw, Twente, for sure they are out. And Besiktas could be out as well with a draw.
Yeah, it's another direct encounter, this one, between Twente and Besiktas. The Eredivisie side took 3 massive points in Sweden last week. They made it possible because they scored 2 goals in 3 minutes in the second half to go from 1-1 to 3-1 at some point, and the game finished 3-2 for them. It's 4 points in the last 2 match days for Twente. And they arriving here knowing that the win will leave them in a playoff position and on top of Besiktas. They lost the game they should not have lost in Europa League, which was the one against Union Saint-Gilloise on match day 5. And if Twente is still lamenting that defeat with the Belgians, I think Besiktas is lamenting the defeat at home with the Maccabi Tel Aviv. For a team that won away against Lyon, that won against Malmo or trash Athletic Bilbao last match day, it's just incredible that they arrive into this last match because of in this situation, because of the game they lost against Maccabi Tel Aviv. Against Athletic Bilbao, they had a superb second half in which the intensity, the focus was outstanding from them, with a great Rashik up front, who also scored. Twente at home is usually a team that play with a high line. I remember against Lazio, this Europa League, doing that even despite going down to 10 men because they saw a red card. My take here, I don't see it as the bookie, as Twente being the favorite. My take here is, and it's some money to be made there, Besiktas to win 3.35.
All right, we might have a lot of Turkish teams, actually, Alain, in the playoffs.
Yes, but Besiktas and Fenerbahce are risky to go out. And now Besiktas with the new manager, we saw something different, and with the energy of the team, with the aggressiveness, with the block. The only limit for this game is the injury play in defense line, because he has 2 titular injured, and maybe can be affect the team or the cold. But the technical value, Besiktas, a lot of things more. Every line is better than Twente. Now Twente catch a draw against Fenerbahce at the beginning of this Europa League, but after they lose both game at home, I think Besiktas can catch a good results. I choose the X2 over 1.74.
Well, this is it for our trip around Europe in the Europa League. Thanks, Leo. Thanks, Alain. Before this, of course, let me remember that you can post your own tips in Oddspedia, in our tipster competitions also, and win some prizes, some fresh money, and also participate in rivals and create your own tipster competitions. I know, guys, you are looking or waiting for this moment in time. Alain was very accurate in his ACCAs last week. Alain, let's try first your safe bet in the Europa League.
Lyon winning, odds 1.23.
Leo, yours?
Mine is Ajax Galatasaray, both teams to score yes, 1.4.
Okay, Lyon playing at home, by the way, against 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀. Leo, your ACCA?
Is Ajax Galatasaray, both teams to score yes and goals over 2.5 in that game. Manchester United to win, and Tottenham Elfsborg goals over 2.5. Those three leaves me with an ACCA of 4.62.
Okay, you trust more Man United than the Red Devils fans, Leo. And Alain, your ACCA?
Ajax 1𝐋𝐿𝐵𝗏, Olympiacos winning, Fenerbahce 1x, Roma Eintracht over 1.75 goals for a total 4.46.
Thank you, Leo. Thanks, Alain. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Bye-bye.